Sophia grew up in a home where emotional neglect and volatility were the norm. Her parents, both struggling with their own unresolved issues, often unintentionally made her feel invisible and unworthy. Her mother, while loving in her own way, was distant and emotionally unavailable, while her father's temper was unpredictable, creating an environment of constant anxiety. Sophia became highly sensitive to the moods of those around her, always trying to keep the peace and avoid confrontation. As a child, she often told herself that she wasn't good enough to be loved unconditionally, and she buried these emotions as best as she could. By the time Sophia reached her 30s, she realized her childhood trauma was influencing nearly every aspect of her life. She struggled with feelings of low self-worth, often seeking validation from external sources, particularly from romantic relationships. She would give more of herself than was healthy, hoping that love would fill the void within her. When it didn't, she found herself in a constant cycle of disappointment, frustration, and self-blame. She felt overwhelmed by anxiety, often plagued with intrusive thoughts of being abandoned or rejected. Sophia knew she needed help, but she didn't know where to start. Her breakthrough moment came when she stumbled upon a book on manifestation and the law of attraction. The book talked about how our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality, and how healing, abundance, and peace are not just external circumstances but energies we can tap into by shifting our mindset. Sophia felt a spark of hope as she read the words. Could she heal from the emotional scars of her childhood through manifestation? Could she rewrite her story? Sophia dove into manifestation with an open heart. She began to implement a daily practice of journaling, affirmations, and visualization. At first, it felt awkward, like trying to convince herself of something she didn't fully believe. Her first affirmation was simple but powerful. I am worthy of love and peace. My past does not define me. I am healing every day. In the mornings, Sophia would spend 10 minutes in silence, repeating these words to herself. During her visualization sessions, she imagined herself as a young child, surrounded by the warmth and love she had longed for but never received. She would picture herself embracing her younger self, comforting her, and reassuring her that she was enough. In these moments, Sophia felt a profound shift, like she was meeting the unmet needs of her inner child, offering her the safety and care she had always longed for. Despite the positive emotions that arose, there were still moments of doubt and resistance. Sophia would often feel a rush of fear. What if I can't change? What if I'm always going to be this way? But instead of shutting down those thoughts, she allowed herself to feel them, acknowledging that healing wasn't linear. She reminded herself that her past didn't have to dictate her future. Sophia also sought therapy to address the deeper layers of her trauma. She found a compassionate therapist who specialized in childhood trauma and emotional healing. Together, they worked on reprogramming the limiting beliefs that were still anchored deep within Sophia. One major belief was that she wasn't lovable unless she was perfect or pleasing others. Through cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, Sophia started challenging these distorted thoughts, questioning their validity, and replacing them with healthier, more loving beliefs about herself. A key moment in therapy came when Sophia learned about inner child healing. She was guided to connect with the younger version of herself, acknowledging the pain and sadness that she had buried for so long. Sophia was encouraged to write a letter to her inner child, offering forgiveness for the neglect she had experienced and expressing deep compassion. This letter became a turning point in her healing. For the first time, Sophia felt that the emotional wounds from her past were being acknowledged, validated, and healed. Sophia also began incorporating more manifestation tools into her routine. She used vision boards to clarify what she wanted in her life: peace, self-love, fulfilling relationships, and a sense of safety and stability. She visualized herself living a life full of joy, surrounded by people who truly appreciated and respected her. Each night before bed, Sophia would write down 3 things she was grateful for, focusing on the progress she had made and the healing she had already experienced. One particularly powerful manifestation practice Sophia used was mirror work. She stood in front of her mirror every morning and looked herself in the eyes, repeating the affirmation, "I am worthy of love." "I am enough just as I am." At first, it felt uncomfortable, almost unnatural. But over time, Sophia began to feel a deep sense of self-compassion and acceptance. She realized that she didn't need to look for love and validation outside of herself anymore. She had everything she needed within. As the months passed, Sophia noticed subtle yet profound changes in her life. Her relationships began to shift as she stopped seeking approval from others and started setting healthy boundaries. She let go of relationships that didn't serve her and invited people who respected and valued her into her life. Sophia found herself saying no without guilt and speaking her truth with confidence. Her career also flourished. No longer paralyzed by fear of failure or rejection, she began to take on new opportunities and trust her abilities. She was no longer afraid to stand up for herself, whether in a professional setting or in personal conversations. The most significant shift, however, was the way Sophia saw herself. She was no longer that anxious, small girl trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. She was an empowered, compassionate woman who had healed from the pain of her past. Her childhood trauma no longer had a hold on her, and she began to feel a sense of peace and wholeness that had eluded her for decades. A defining moment came when Sophia was invited to speak at a wellness retreat about her journey of healing. As she shared her story with a group of strangers, she realized that her pain no longer felt like a burden. It was part of her story, yes, but it was no longer something she carried around with shame. Sophia had transformed her trauma into wisdom, and by sharing her journey, she empowered others to do the same. Her journey was not without its challenges, but Sophia had learned that healing is not about erasing the past, it's about transforming it. She realized that the power of manifestation, combined with inner child healing and therapeutic support, had allowed her to rewrite her story. It was no longer a story of victimhood but one of strength, resilience, and the ongoing process of self-love and growth. Today, Sophia continues to manifest her dreams, live with gratitude, and maintain healthy boundaries in all aspects of her life. She has created a life full of joy, love, and fulfillment, and she teaches others to manifest their healing as well. Through her blog, workshops, and private coaching, Sophie inspires others to take control of their lives and heal their inner wounds, showing them that no matter how deep the trauma, it's never too late to heal and live the life they deserve.